Open letter to all Jehovah's Witnesses: why do you lie to defend the truth? And why do you keep PIMOs trapped inside? To all Jehovah's Witnesses watching this, I have some questions for you. Why do you lie to defend the truth? You are taught that Jehovah's Witnesses are different from the rest of the world, that while false religion is full of corruption and deception, Jehovah's Witnesses are honest, transparent, and guided by truth, that while worldly organizations manipulate facts to protect their reputation, Jehovah's Witnesses never compromise on honesty. Yet when it comes to shunning, why does your organization hide the full truth? Why do you claim disfellowshipping is a loving arrangement, yet in public, when speaking to the media or in court, you deny that it is even enforced? If it's such a beautiful and biblical practice, why do you need to lie about it? Why does Watchtower say that shunning is a personal choice, when their own publications and videos show that it is a strict command? If Jehovah's Witnesses do not enforce shunning, then why are members disciplined for keeping contact with disfellowshipped family? Why do people lose their entire social network the moment they stop believing? If disfellowshipping is truly about keeping the congregation clean, then why do you allow so many PIMOs, those who no longer believe, to remain inside, simply because they fear being cut off from their families? You know they do not believe. You know they do not see the governing body as Jehovah's channel, and yet, you keep them inside, allowing them to pretend to go through the motions, to live a double life, just so they don't lose everything. Why? Why keep spiritually weak, unfaithful, and doubting people inside Jehovah's congregation? Aren't you supposed to be Jehovah's clean organization? Aren't you supposed to be a united people, serving Jehovah with one mind and one heart? Wouldn't it be better to let them leave freely? Wouldn't it be better to have a congregation made up only of true believers instead of people who stay only because they are too afraid to leave? Or do you fear that without the threat of shunning, your numbers would collapse? You claim that disfellowshipping is a way to encourage repentance, but what does real repentance look like? Does Jehovah really want people to fake their faith just to avoid losing their family? Does Jehovah really want people to pretend to believe in Him, just so they don't end up alone? How many reinstated Jehovah's Witnesses truly believe? And how many just desperately need their family and friends back? If Jehovah is all-knowing, wouldn't He see that many who return do so without real faith, but simply because they have no other choice? Does Jehovah want worship based on fear and coercion? If reinstatement is truly about repentance, why does it require a long process of humiliation, sitting at the back of the Kingdom Hall, proving loyalty to human elders before being accepted? Why does repentance in Jehovah's Witnesses look more like a bureaucratic process rather than a personal reconciliation with God? And if disfellowshipping is truly a personal decision, why does Watchtower punish those who refuse to shun? If parents want to keep contact with their disfellowshipped children, why does the organization pressure them to cut them off? You know the suffering disfellowshipping causes. You know that many fall into deep depression, struggle with crippling loneliness, and in some cases, even take their own lives after being abandoned by their families, and yet, you call this a loving arrangement. How is it loving to destroy families, simply because someone no longer believes? And if disfellowshipping is such a righteous and biblical arrangement, why do you deny it when speaking to the media? Why does your organization change its public statements, pretending that shunning is not enforced? Why do you remove or alter Watchtower publications when they become inconvenient? If Jehovah's Witnesses are truly honest and transparent, why have they lied in court about shunning? Why do they tell the public one thing, while enforcing something completely different inside the congregation? And why do they keep hypocrites inside just to keep the numbers high? You are told that Jehovah is refining His people, that His organization is being cleansed, that He is speeding up the work. Then why does the organization cling desperately to members who no longer believe? You know there are thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses who are PIMO, physically in, mentally out. They stay, not because they love Jehovah, but because they fear the consequences of leaving. Are these really faithful witnesses of Jehovah, or are they just prisoners of your system? If disfellowshipping is really about purity, why do you allow so many spiritually dead Jehovah's Witnesses to stay inside? Wouldn't it be better to let them leave, to allow them to go freely, without punishment? Wouldn't a congregation made up of only true believers be cleaner, purer, stronger, but you know that's not what would happen. You know that if disfellowshipping were removed, the organization would start hemorrhaging members. You know that without fear, millions would walk away, and that is why disfellowshipping still exists, not because it is loving, not because it keeps the congregation clean, but because without it, the organization would collapse. That is the real reason. It's not about keeping Jehovah's people pure. It's about controlling the flow of members, about hiding how many want to leave, about forcing loyalty through fear. If Jehovah's Witnesses truly had the truth, wouldn't people stay out of love for Jehovah, rather than out of fear of losing their family? Doesn't forcing people to remain against their will show that something is deeply wrong? If you take fear out of the equation, how many of you would still choose to stay? If there were no consequences for leaving, how many of you would be gone tomorrow? If shunning is truly loving, why do you have to hide it? If you truly have the truth, why do you have to lie to defend it? Because if you're truly seeking the truth, you have nothing to fear. But if you're afraid of questioning, then maybe you already know the answer. I think you are smarter than that. I think you already know something isn't right, and I think deep down, you're already asking these questions.